Okay, if I was given something like this and asked what A, B and C are, I can clearly compare the coefficients from what was in front of the x squared to see what A is, what was in front of the x, so my coefficient on the x is what B is, and my C is the constant at the end, so A minus 2. Okay, in the case that they have given me in this question, they just didn't give it to me where it looks super nice, okay, but they did give me something like that. So they said x plus 2 times x minus 1 is a factor of the expression x cubed plus cx squared plus dx plus 8 for all values of x. They want me to find the value of c and of d. So let's break this down. They told me that x plus 2 times x minus 1 is a factor. Okay, that means that it still needs to multiply by something else to get me to the expression x cubed plus cx squared plus dx plus 8. So I'm missing something inside this bracket here. Okay, now the first terms, those x terms are going to multiply together to give me an x squared. I'm going to want that to multiply by something else in this bracket to get me to that x cubed. So I know that that bracket has to have an x in there so that I can do x by x by x to get that x cubed. Okay. Once I've done that, then I'm looking at, okay, well, what can I put next in that bracket with x? Okay, so what should go in there with that x? And we don't really know. Okay, so when I don't know, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, okay, well, it's just some other unknown. So I'm going to use a letter to show my unknown. Okay, I've already started using my x's here. They've C's and D's. Okay, so they've kind of used stuff from the end of the alphabet, used stuff from the start. So to just make it really clear what my unknown is, we kind of use k, okay, just basically avoiding the other ones that we've already used. Okay, so now I can see, this makes sense because we know a cubic has 3 factors that all look like this, an x with a constant, an x with a constant, an x with a constant. Okay, so just like we had in the example that I rubbed off, we want this to look like it's in the same form so that I can clearly compare what my coefficients are if I was to have this multiplied out, what my coefficients for my x cubes were, what the coefficients on the x squareds were, and so on. Okay, so we're going to multiply this whole thing out. I'm going to look at just the first 2 brackets first. Okay, so x by the full second bracket so that I get x squared minus x, and then 2 plus 2 by the full second bracket, so 2x and minus 2. Okay, that still does need to multiply though by the x plus k. Okay, and I can simplify that down to get plus x minus 2. Okay, that still needs to multiply there by my x plus k. So let's multiply this out so that we get x cubed plus k x squared plus x squared plus k x minus 2x minus k. Okay, and I can simplify that down as well, even further, because if we look back at what we're trying to make it look like, so what was on the other side of the equals, okay, I have a x cubed, but just one x cubed, okay, that's fine, that's the same as over here. Then I just have one x squared term. So I want to figure out, okay, well, what should just be in front of this x squared? Okay, whereas I have 2 terms here that are going to have to be put together. So I'm going to try and merge those somehow. Okay, likewise, I'm going to have one term with my x and then my plus 8 at the end. So on this left hand side, now this one, if you're actually used to these, this one you might notice that you can start by just trying to find k, and then once you've found k, just actually sub it in and simplify this left hand side. Okay, that is another way of solving it, but if we didn't spot that, our more generic way of doing this will be to say, okay, so I have something in front of an x squared here and something in front of an x squared here. Okay, so remember that's a 1. Okay, so if I wanted to write out what was in front of the x squared, okay, it's actually that k and a 1. Okay, I'm factorising it out from in front of the x squared. Okay, so that's just the highest common factor. Okay, I've got my x squared taken out of both of those, so that it's a k times an x squared and a 1 times an x squared. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the things that are in front of the x's. So I have a k in front of an x and I have a minus 2 in front of an x. Okay, so I'm going to add my coefficients from the x's together. Okay, so I'm going to get k and a minus 2, okay, in front of the x, and then a minus k at the end. So now let's take everything that is our coefficients and our constants, okay, and let them equal to each other. Okay, when we do that, we are looking to see what variables we can find. So, okay, so let's see, purple. Let's look at, oh, that wasn't even the correct pen. Okay, purple. So, in front of my x squareds, if I compare the coefficients of the x squareds, okay, k plus 1, I'm going to write out 3 equations. So k plus 1 is c. Okay, so that's one equation I can see there. Okay, second one, in front of the x, I have k minus 2 is d, and in front of, or the constant by itself at the end, minus k is equal to 8. Okay, so over here, you can't solve for any of those variables because there's 2 unknowns. We know that 2 unknowns needs 2 equations. Same thing here. There's a k, there's a d, so we actually can't solve for either of those, okay, with just the one equation. But look at this equation here, minus k equals 8. Okay, I can use that to actually get me what k is. There's a minus 1 multiplying the k, so to get rid of it, I can divide by minus 1 and see that k is minus 8. Okay, so I'm going to sub in minus 8 wherever k is. And that way I can see that, so minus 8 plus 1 is c. So minus 7 is c. And for d, similarly, okay, it was k minus 2 is d, so now it's minus 8 minus 2 is d.